From the sprawling acres of the mega farm in China to the bustling bovine kingdom of the Alexandria farm in Egypt, these are the biggest dairy farms in the world. Mudanjiang City Mega Farm. This behemoth of a dairy farm over in Heilongjiang, China, the Mudanjiang City Mega Farm, is ginormous. We're talking about a mind-blowing 22.5 million acres. You won't believe it, but it's home to around 100,000 cows. It's like Cow City. And what do these cows do all day? Well, they're busy producing around 800 million liters of milk every year. And how did this humongous farm come into existence? Well, you see, back in 2015, Russia put a stop to dairy products from the EU. As you'd expect, this left a pretty big gap in the market. And who stepped in to fill it? You got it, China. That's when they decided to build Mudanjiang City Mega Farm. Now, you might be thinking of a typical farm with open pastures and cows lazily grazing. But nope, that's not how it's done here. Instead, the cows chill out in these massive sheds. They chomp down on their meals of fodder and grains, and it's basically their home away from pasture. And guess what else? The cows aren't all locals. They come from New Zealand, Australia, and even Uruguay. But this mega farm isn't the first of its kind in China. Before Mudanjiang City Mega Farm became the it place for dairy, there was another contender for the crown, the modern dairy Bangbu Farm. We're talking about the modern dairy Bangbu Farm. It's right there in Anhui Province, one of the most beautiful spots in China. This farm is part of modern dairy, which is a big deal in the Chinese dairy industry. I mean, we're talking about one of the biggest dairy farming companies in the country. When it comes to dairy farming, they mean business. Here's what's incredible about the Bangbu Farm. This place has room for a whopping 20,000 milking cows. And you know what that means? A lot of milk. In fact, this farm produces around 3,300 tons of raw milk each day. But it's not just about the numbers at Bangbu Farm. They're all about using the latest technology to make things run smoothly. They've got 8 of these super high-tech rotary milking systems, a biogas plant that helps them become more eco-friendly, and a dairy processing plant where all that fresh milk is made ready for us to enjoy. What's cool about Bangbu Farm is that it's not just a place where cows are milked and milk is processed. It's also a place where people like you and me can visit and see how a modern, efficient dairy farm works. However, China has more of the largest farms up its pastures, but not all of them are located in China. So, let's jet off to Russia next. We're headed to Severny Bur. Now, this isn't just your everyday dairy farm. This is a colossal operation of 100,000 cows, all producing milk. We're talking about a whopping 2,000 tons of milk per day. And where is this milk oasis? It's in Siberia, nestled in the Tyumen region. Now, if you're picturing freezing cold temperatures and harsh conditions, you're spot on. But don't worry, the cows aren't shivering in the cold. They've got modern tech and fancy equipment to keep them warm and happy. It has climate-controlled barns, automatic feeders, and even robotic milking machines. Now, here's an interesting twist. Severny Bur isn't a fully Russian operation. It's partly owned by a Chinese company, Zhongding Dairy Farming. We already know how China does not take a breather if the piece of land is huge for their dairy farms, and this one is no exception. Severny Bur has got a massive stretch of land, around 1,000 hectares, both in China and Russia, just for growing feed and forage for the cows. Most of this land is in Russia, where they've either bought or leased vast areas of farmland, and they've got plans to double their land use to a staggering 200,000 hectares. But size isn't the only way to decide who's the champion of dairy farming. Almarai. Ever heard of a dairy farm that boasts the highest number of animals on Earth? Let me introduce you to Almarai. Located in Saudi Arabia, this mega dairy farm is truly massive, with over 180,000 cows mooing, chewing, and being all-around bovine superstars. These aren't just any cows, though. They are top-notch milk producers. They're so efficient, in fact, that they churn out an astronomical 1.5 billion liters of milk every single year. And as if that's not impressive enough, Almarai spans an awe-inspiring 224,000 hectares. But Almarai isn't just known for its size and high milk production. Nope, this giant of a farm also happens to be one of the largest dairy companies globally. In 2020 alone, they raked in a cool $4 billion US dollars. But let's roll back the clock a bit and see how Almarai came into being. The year was 1977, and the visionaries behind this operation were two Irish brothers, Alistair and Paddy Mudanjiang, and Prince Sultan bin Mohammed bin Saud Al Kabir. Today, Almarai is a dairy powerhouse in Saudi Arabia. It operates 7 dairy farms, and they've got an impressive lineup of around 75,000 milking cows. And to think, all of this is happening smack dab in the middle of the desert. But hold on, we're not done yet. You know, when it comes to the art of milk production, the USA isn't far behind. Fair Oaks in Indiana, USA. Fair Oaks Farms Place is sitting pretty at the top of the world when it comes to milk production. How much milk are we talking about, you ask? Try an eye-popping 2.6 billion liters of milk each year, with 36,000 cows calling this farm their home. These gals are busy around the clock to produce milk like there's no tomorrow. And when it comes to milking, it's all done by robots. These high-tech machines do the milking while also keeping an eye on each cow's health and productivity. But Fair Oaks Farms is not just about producing mind-boggling amounts of milk. This place also rakes in a cool $500 million US dollars each year. Yet, what sets Fair Oaks Farms apart even more is that it isn't just a dairy farm. It's also a massive tourist attraction, drawing people from all corners who want to catch a glimpse of a real-life modern-day operation. But the USA is not alone in its dairy excellence, because New Zealand is hot on their heels. With Frontera, in the stunning landscapes of New Zealand, Frontera is a big deal and a giant in the dairy world. And it isn't just one entity churning out dairy products in a faceless factory. Instead, it's a thriving cooperative, a living, breathing community of about 10,000 farmers. They're all hardworking people, committed to delivering nothing but the finest milk from their farms, dotted all over New Zealand. And when we talk about location, these farms aren't confined to one single region. They sprawl all across New Zealand, from the lush subtropical Northland to the fertile plains of Waikato, to the vibrant landscapes of Taranaki, the expansive terrains of Canterbury, and the pristine settings of Southland. Each of these regions, with its own distinctive climate, soil, and pastures, contributes to the great taste and superior quality of Frontera's milk. The magnitude of Frontera's operation is truly awe-inspiring. Its farms blanket an area of roughly 200,000 hectares, and speaking of production, Frontera doesn't just live up to the expectations, it surpasses them. It churns out a staggering 22 billion liters of milk every year. This massive output is so considerable, it accounts for approximately 18% of the world's total dairy exports. So, we've talked about China, New Zealand, Russia, and the USA, but let's not forget Africa. Alexandria in Egypt is the king of dairy farms in Africa by area, spread across a mind-boggling 4 million acres of land. Now, this farm isn't just about the enormous size. They've got around 40,000 cows mooing about, enjoying life. And they're hard at work, diligently producing around 320 tons of milk every single day. When people talk about the Alexandria dairy farm, you'll often hear the name Lamar Egypt thrown into the mix. That's because it's the brand name of the Alexandria Agriculture Company. This company has been making waves in the dairy industry since 1985, with a solid mission to produce top-tier milk. But they didn't stop at just creating great milk. In 2012, they took things up a notch and began crafting their own branded products. It's also a working farm in the traditional sense. They grow corn and fodder for the cows to munch on, but they also cultivate delicious fruits like grapes, apricots, and pomegranates. Also, this place isn't a top-secret project, and it's open to visitors. It's pretty incredible to think about, isn't it? Just goes to show that when it comes to dairy farming, it's a big, wide, fascinating world out there. So, from the bustling bovine kingdom of the Alexandria farm in Egypt to the sprawling acres of the mega farm in China, these are the biggest dairy farms in the world.